Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Music check, mic check. Yep, my mic was off. Thank you for pointing that out. My bad. How is everyone's weekend going so far? I'm not seeing the... I don't know where the Steam... Oh, there it is. It's finally live. Cool. Now it's good. Yep, it just went live for me. How's everyone doing today? How's your weekend going so far? How has the time been for you since Wednesday when we met up on the office hours stream? And if you weren't present in office hours, let's hear about your week. Get any tabletop gaming in? If so, I'd love to hear about it. If you've checked out our latest update, Fun with Objects, and have been playing with it, love to hear your feedback. Are you enjoying it thus far? What's your initial impressions? I did notice a weird behavior in Dungeon Alchemist. Just in the I've noticed some weird, like, framey, buggy issues where Dungeon Alchemist runs a little clunky, right? Like less than optimal. And I noticed, and I pointed this out to the devs. Hopefully they'll sort it out soon. But when you're in a map, if you like when you first load up a map, it's running, for some reason, Dungeon Alchemist seems to be running like your settings are on high or higher than that at all times. So let me give you an example. You can see the frame counter up here in the corner when I load this other map. Anyway, I noticed this behavior and I want to tell everyone here watching how to handle it. Swedish Cook, crashes a lot for you, really? What kind of crashes are you having? And tell me more about the map too. One thing I will say is make sure, your drivers are up to date. Make sure, your motherboard and CPU, GPU, all that stuff's up to date constantly because it helps with performance with this stuff. But notice getting 8 FPS in the corner here, right? It's really not that great. And this map isn't that big, so it's like, what's going on? Watch what happens when I go into the settings menu, just open File and Settings, immediately the frames just jumped up. And the lighting changed. It's like it recognized what my lighting settings were supposed to be. Instead of it loaded in at like a different quality than what I told it to. So I've been looking at this and I was just trying to wonder why. So my frames jump up almost immediately because then it's like, oh, you actually wanted this in medium or low, not high? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that is kind of weird, but also the fact that it's not running at the... I think it's actually trying to run on like Ultra or something. So I think there's something weird where every map you open, DA defaults to a higher setting than you have it. So if you have it on high, you probably didn't notice, but if you are on low or medium, you probably are noticing most maps are a little framed out. If you just open the settings menu, just open it. You don't even have to change anything and then exit out. It usually recognizes where it's supposed to be and then, you know, it kind of calibrates, I guess you could say. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out to anyone. If you've noticed like poor performance when you open a map, that's probably why. And I mentioned this to the devs. A couple other people have tested it. Unfortunately, Carl's out of the office for a couple of days. It's his first break in months. So he's getting some well-deserved time off. It stopped working, huh? Mine works still. As long as I am in a map that it can, like, manage to hit, it won't ever go over 60 for me. My FPS limiter is, well, I guess it just hit 61, huh? Weird. Usually it maxes out at around 60, so... if you, we could test it, though. Maybe do a 30 FPS limiter. Here, let me exit. Hey, Joseph. Yeah, it is like a weird bug, and I just noticed that, like, for some reason, that's happening for me, and I figure if it's happening for me and it's making my stuff laggy, it's probably making other people laggy. So if you're having that issue, go ahead and just do that, and Carl most likely will push out a patch, you know, relatively soon, but he's just got to get back from his vacation. So, easy fix in the interim. Really quickly, let me load up my library from Steam. So what I'm going to do, if you look at Steam, you can right-click on any of your games, and there's a property panel for them, right? For Dungeon Alchemist, because it uses Unity, you can use certain commands that are compatible with the Unity launch whatever parameters, and you can give it certain launch options. So mine, I tell it to always default to monitor 3, because I have lots of monitors and it always defaults to one I don't want it to. So this will tell it to go to a specific monitor, which is nice because we don't have a monitor selector option in DA yet. And then the FPS max allows me to lock in the FPS to 60 FPS or lower, typically. Let me try setting it to 30 and see what happens. Gonna exit, and then we'll load DA. I feel like there might be a memory leak the more maps you open in a cycle, like one after another after another. It's hard to prove, though, because it's like, you have to, like, see it happening. You know what I mean? I noticed it during the beta, and I just chalked it up to the beta. Like, a lot of things that happen in the dev test, it's like, oh, it's just the weird bugginess of the dev test, right? Here I go. Settings. I'm at 6 FPS. Look, 8 FPS. The lighting changed drastically, and my FPS just jumped up to 60. It looks like, yeah, the FPS lock is not working. Huh. Interesting. Guess I can do it in NVIDIA. I'm sorry, what? Bridge? Oh no. What just happened? Okay. Close. Are you meaning Command and Conquer? Oh yeah. Yeah, so I I for a time I actually loved Command and Conquer and Red Alert growing up. But the remasters just recently launched and I'm actually like a so for a time I was like a partnered streamer on several platforms, and I was on the official EA Battlefield stream team for a while. And so I'm still like a member of their creator network is what it's called. And occasionally they'll send me offers for games to like stream them or check them out. And that was one of them they sent me. And I was like, heck yes. So I got them all for free. It was actually a really nice deal for me, you know, but I just had to stream it a couple of times. But yeah, definitely am a acknowledged fan. You know what I mean? I grew up on those games. They were quite fun for me. And I really enjoyed the live action cutscenes in those games. Red Alert, yeah, Red Alert, you know, 1, 2, 3. Red Alert was always great because it just had that bit of sci-fi edge to it that made it that much more fun. You know what I mean? Weird, I don't see Dungeon Alchemist in my program list in here. Oh, thank you, Alexander. Glad to hear it. You know what? Hey, Mr. Patata, how you doing? Welcome back. JW, is a download required, or if I create something on my PC, would I be able to use it on my laptop? You essentially can install Dungeon Alchemist on either machine, and then whatever machine you have it installed on, you can open your maps on. So the map is a universal file. It's called a DAM file or a DAM files. It stands for Dungeon Alchemist Map, and that's our proprietary file format. When you save a map in Dungeon Alchemist, it essentially allows anyone else with another copy of Dungeon Alchemist to open that map. And as long as the map doesn't feature assets that you have uploaded and only kept locally, i.e. your personal collection of assets that you've imported through the asset importer. So if all of the assets in it are either stock or public assets on the workshop, then it will prompt them to download the public ones and open up the map. And then they can explore it, edit it, make changes. You can't edit it at the same time, so it's kind of like a game of hot potato. We call it hot damn, where you pass the map back and forth, and someone works on it for a bit, sends it back to the other person. You know, that is a good question, Anani. I feel like there is a way to add programs to this list that aren't, you know? There is. Okay. Yuri's Revenge was pretty good, huh? Interesting expansion. So there is a way to add an app manually, but you got to go to its like location, and I'm trying to remember where I have DA installed. Give me 1 second. I think it's in not my. Yeah, I just added Dungeon Alchemist to the list here. So all I had to do is click this and go add a program, right? And then I found it in the list. There it is. Doesn't support optimization. No. Yeah, that's silly. I guess I'll talk to the devs about it and see. I honestly would love one thing for us to get is that you know how Nvidia has their little cloud support option for games, so you can play them on like a tablet or a mobile device or a computer that isn't really that powerful. What is it called? Nvidia. I can't remember it now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Someone will say it, I'm sure. But I would love if we had the option to, you know, do cloud-based Dungeon Alchemist play. I'm good, Miss Frittata. I'm good. Alexander, you're liking the new update? Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it, my friend. What's your favorite thing about the new update? Oh, the old school window? I'll check it out later. You know what? Actually, yeah, if you... So when you show there's the control panel and the app. No, the... Oh, is it GeForce Now? Huh. I was going to say you might be able to do it in this. This thing is old school. GeForce Now. Yep. GeForce Now is the name of the cloud thing, right? The cloud service. I just think it'd be cool if Dungeon Alchemist wasn't so like tied to a very powerful computer. You know what I mean? I'm all about community, like overall usefulness and offering the best amount of options for our community. And I think it'd be cool if you could make maps on a tablet using GeForce Now. That's cool, Mondu. I'll do it some other time. I don't want to spend a lot of time in another app that isn't Dungeon Alchemist, you know? Hey, by the way, TikTok, thank you for all the likes. Is that you, Miss Frittata? Are you going crazy with all those likes? Gotta say thank you. Either way, whoever's doing it, much appreciated. And I'm doing well, I think. Thank you for asking. Hey, John Doom. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is on sale. Dungeon Alchemist is on sale, 20% off. So, you know, if you have a DM friend or, you know, you want to buy a second copy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just, if you know someone you want to gift it to, maybe a fledgling DM friend, family member who is interested in it, let them know it's on sale so they can take advantage of it. The sale runs through the 24th, so it's kind of a limited time. David, that's interesting. Interesting, good to know. Run pod? What is that? Melnick, Joseph? Hey, Sarah, thank you so much for the heart. Much appreciated. Or, I mean, no, that's not a heart. That's a rose. Goodness, I need my eyes checked. Bleh. Thank you so much. How are you doing today, Sarah? So this room right here is for the fairy in our group who is kind of like way into nature. So I made their room like feel like it was part of the Feywild. So it's just like there's mushrooms and plants and flowers and then on the outside of their room there's like even some of the growth like overgrowing. Little nest there. It is really cool, Sarah. So what you're looking at, by the way, is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map making tool available on Steam. There's a free demo, and it's actually also on sale right now for 20% off. But it's like a mix between like The Sims and Baldur's Gate. So essentially you get to build maps for, say, a tabletop setting like D&D, Pathfinder, stuff like that. Or you could just build rooms for fun. I enjoy building maps that no one ever really gets to play in. It's just fun to, you know, create and, you know, I see it as a form of art. The cathartic experience for me. Yeah, hey, Atlam, can you drop the store link? But this map here, I built it as a base, a bastion for my party, who we're playing D&D 5e, but we convinced the DM to let us try out bastions, which is almost exclusively a 2024 mechanic for D&D. But we allowed him, or he allowed us, I should say, to try it out, and I built this with kind of the team's guidance for each of their rooms and all the spaces. I think it turned out really good. Yep, that is the players, Miss Frittata. So this is my character right here. His name's Clover Brightleaf. This is my wife's character. Her name's Azira. She's a tiefling, a winged tiefling. This is my buddy's character. His name's Ryan, but his character's name's Didymus. And he's a Goliath nature paladin. Or no, paladin of the ancients, I think is what it is. And then this is Kevin, who is kind of like he's a fighter rogue multi-class, played by my buddy Steven. And then this is Celia, our sorcerer cleric multi-class that is a fairy, played by my friend named Sarah. And then here we have my son's character, who he is a changeling who primarily front faces as a dragonborn because he was raised by dragonborn. So he is a Sorlock changeling that pretty much almost always looks like a dragonborn and insists he's a dragonborn. His name is actually spelled like how John did it. Kevin. It's K-Vin. So you got it right there. But each room is kind of reflective of the character's personality and their kind of own things that they like and recommended for their space. Some are more kind of simple and others are more like advanced. Technically, his story, John, is he is the last man of a 5-man squad that kind of got squad wiped. And so he's kind of starting over, and he was on his own for a long time. He's learning to trust again and make friends again. So he's kind of got an interesting backstory in that regard. This is our library/study, arcane study. Little bit of library on the left, little bit of arcane study on the right, and then here's like a meeting boardroom table. This is our workshop and smithy. You can do all sorts of crafts here. We actually got to play in our and got to hang out in our Bastion the last session because we finally got there. We traveled 4 months across the seas to get to this position, or get to this town, Grindavik, where this Bastion is located. And then we were able to get a tour of the Bastion, check it all out, and then, you know, set up our base there at this new town. Essentially, we were given this Bastion for completion of like helping this one of our patrons, not necessarily a warlock patron, but someone who was hiring us for quests and missions. We basically took out her competition in a major city, and afterwards we kind of wanted to get out of there because we not only broke out of prison there, but caused up a major stir. So she helped us kind of set up a new life in another city. Interesting, Joseph. I wasn't aware of it. So it's another cloud computing service. So I actually built this following the Bastion rules in 2024. It's very, I wanted to go crazy and build it up as, you know, as epic as I wanted. But the problem is the Bastion rules have very specific guidance for sizes of rooms and how many rooms you can have. I don't know if any of you have looked at the Bastion rules or made a Bastion or checked them out at all. But I do think the new update really helps cater to Bastions a lot. And that's part of the reason I built this, is I wanted to show people how easy it is to build a Bastion now, because multi-level really lends to it. That's really cool. What kind of, do you do like AI video processing with it, Joseph? Or you running prompts? Like, what are you doing with it? I'm curious. One thing I would love to start doing is video up converting with AI, but the problem is it's like, oh my goodness, the software and like the rentals for, you know, computing power is insane. But I have some old family video I'd like to up convert and gift to my mom for, you know, like for her birthday one year or something. Hey, John, thank you so much for being such a, you know, such a trooper. We should call you John Dam, actually, today. Appreciate you, brother. So this here is the, when you look at the Bastion, there is like basic rooms and there are special rooms, right? Some of the basic rooms are things like a dining hall, right? Or a parlor, kitchen, you know, little things like that are basic rooms, right? Bedrooms are basic rooms. And they all have a starting size they can be. So there is either 16 squares, right? Or 4 squares is the size of them. 2 by 2 or 4 by 4. John Doom Von Dam. This guy, I swear. So like the bedrooms, we made them all 4 squares, right? Because that allowed us to get a little bit more space there. Anyway, today's stream, I would love to discuss balconies, which is a new feature in Dungeon Alchemist. There is several ways to build balconies now. Let me open up one of the maps I had earlier that actually had one on it, and we'll take a look at it and discuss it. And if any of you have questions about balconies, we can discuss that as well. So I have to ask, the update's been out, you know, little over a week now, right? What's everyone's like first impressions? Now that you've played with it for like a week, what is your initial thoughts? What are the good, the bad? Is there, you know, is there aspects of the update you love? Is there aspects of the update you don't really care for? I'd love to hear your feedback. Hey, Bro H, thank you for the positivity and the kind words. And by the way, you're welcome anytime. These streams are designed to be kind of community hangouts, but also a space to get support for Dungeon Alchemist. So if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions, feel free to tune into any stream, and they're pretty much all AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you have a question about how to properly export a map, or maybe you're struggling building a map like somebody else's design, or anything in between, feel free. So thank you for dropping in, and you're welcome back anytime. David Larson asks, what are the size limitations of balconies, and can they be connected to adjacent towers? So balconies, there really is no size limitation. It's really just kind of, again, your computer specs. And yes, you could put balconies as walkways or bridges between 2 towers or 2 buildings. So for instance, this here is likely a balcony, and I'll just double check that they did a balcony room type here. So it says balcony stone heavy, right? That's the room type. And I did that by going to the draw room tab, well, the room tool, and then I selected the edit room tab, and then I clicked on this section. So it tells me what the name of that room type is, so I can mimic it if I wanted to, or I can edit it and change it. So at this point, I'm gonna just draw a balcony between these 2 houses, right? Actually, let's leave it to the just 5 feet. And there you go. Really, all you need is a door, and now they're put between the 2. Stand by 1 second. We got a special guest here. Hey, Roo. Oh, what's that? What's that? Say hello. Say hello. Oh, you smell so good. Jenna, this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map making tool and immersion utility. It's available on Steam. We offer a free demo so you could kind of try it out, test drive it on your system. But it's a tool to help you build maps primarily for tabletop games such as D&D, so Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. But a lot of people use Dungeon Alchemist as just a fun relaxation art tool. It's kind of similar to Sims, but instead of having to stress about your simlings, you just build. You know what I mean? So in that regard, it's pretty fun. I enjoy just building maps sometimes for no reason whatsoever other than to just build them. Let's move this mic a little bit. He just had a bath and he smells so good. He's a good boy. This is Seymour, by the way, if you've never met him before. Seymour, like kind of like a golden dude, huh? We adopted him from a shelter, and so they didn't even know his really, so we just kind of guessed based on his looks. Could be a terrier doodle, a terror doodle. Good boy, though, either way. But usually after his baths, he comes and says hi, but he hasn't for the past few weeks because we've been so busy with like lead up to launch and all the streams and stuff. Too much going on. He is such a sweetie, though. Dungeon Alchemist can be used for world maps, but with a caveat there, Dresden. And I'll show you in just a moment once I don't have a puppy in my arms, if that's cool. Sadly, I would have to put down the puppy to show you world maps. So is it worth it? Puppy above all. Okay, puppy stays. Let me show you something I saw today on the workshop related to world maps, and I think it'll blow your mind. I think Dungeon Alchemist is perfectly suited for world maps as long as you're okay with using things like forced perspective, okay? So let me show you. End up opening that map? No, I saw it on the workshop. So if you go to the workshop and sort by most recent, I kid you not, I was on here earlier and I saw this one. Here is a Neverwinter map, okay? This thing is, I mean, Neverwinter is a pretty big city. But I've also seen people do almost the entire Sword Coast in Dungeon Alchemist. And all they do is what's called forced perspective. So they shrink objects down to very tiny to put like a bunch of little houses together to look like a little village. Because most regional maps don't have a ton of focus on individual towns. They just kind of show them as like a pockmark of a couple of houses if it's a small village, or more if it's a bigger thing like Waterdeep, right? So with a regional map, they tend to put in little forests, little lakes, rivers, different types of ground to represent different biomes or regions. Yeah, Chim's map of the US is insane. It's like an actual, like, it reminds me of those tourist maps where you would like get them at a place and it would show like all the hot spots on the tourist maps, like as big, like bold images. Dresden, that's funny. This map's gonna take a second to download, so I'm gonna just keep y'all entertained. Hopefully. Hopefully, my beautiful bald head keeps you enthralled long enough, and the shine off the top of it doesn't blind you. Oh, my neck hurts. I slept on it funny, mainly because my cat was demanding snugs with me all night. Not a bad thing, but he would like wake me up and force me into a position so he could lay somewhere. So I ended up like just being moved about 6 different times because he wanted me to move. John, that's funny. I cut my own hair, to be honest with you. Every few weeks, it looks like a little bit of stubble, and I just run a one of those like beard trimmers over it and call it a day. I am so bald. The more hair I get on my head, the balder I look, because it ends up doing that like Friar's Peak thing, you know. So the less hair I have, the less bald I look. But here is like a great example of a forced perspective build of a massive city. Neverwinter is a large city, right? And here you have essentially what they have done. Let me turn on the grid so you can see. The normal grid, obviously, I mean, a 5-foot square here, there's like a bunch of homes in a 5-foot square. So forced perspective is using the ability to scale things down to make them look like it's a much larger representation at a distance. So for a world map, this would be ideal, especially if you go in and throw something like a hex on it. And no, I'm not talking about the spell. I'm talking about a hex grid. Yeah, so all this person did is they just made everything very small. And these are buildings that are on the workshop, right? These little houses. By the way, if you download this map, it would just download all these houses so you could use them that way. Honestly, Dresden, I mean, AI, I think it can be a plague, but if it's used correctly, it's an amazing tool for the advancement of humanity. Dungeon Alchemist's AI it was created and sourced ethically. So there is AI in Dungeon Alchemist, but it's ethical. And by that, I mean every asset created in Dungeon Alchemist that is used in our AI was made by our team of artists. So at no point did we scrape art or maps or community art or maps to use in our AI. Our AI was programmed and trained internally on our own data sets and maps and art. So essentially, at no time was any public data used to train our AI. On top of all that, our AI isn't like generative AI. And I know generative AI is where most people have concerns. It's a last gen AI is what our devs call it. It's procedural based AI. So it's more primitive, but because its focus is just map making, it tends to excel at that. When you give an AI a very specific purpose, instead of being a jack of all trades, master of none, it's a master of that trade. And we're getting the AI more refined and better each update. Something like this, though, would definitely require a personal touch. It requires scaling down an object, placing them by hand. These roads here, this was done by hand using the terrain brushes. So they made a very small brush and just went through and made roads or terrain. This is just like, this is normal bushes, but they could scale down some trees and put them in here. But there's some here around the castle. Which can then be turned into an image, Mondu. But yeah, would be cool if you could load a new map on click building roof to load that building map. Say that again, Joseph. I am so lost by that. Would be cool if you could load a new map on clicking building roof to load that building. So meaning if you clicked on a building in a map and then it was immediately transferred to a new map? Is that what you're saying? I feel like that's what you're going for, but I'm not sure. I know there's a massive Sword Coast map in here. Thought there was at some point. Huh. Maybe let's just try searching overland. Nope. Regional. There are some on here that are absolutely massive. Someone made like the entirety of what was it? It was Zelda, like the first Zelda game. Like the entire world map is in a build in Dungeon Alchemist. But that's probably one of the funniest ways to use AI, though, David. A Russian nesting doll of maps. Yes, it's a mapception. The heck is that other map? I can't remember what it was called, but I could have sworn it was the Sword Coast. But I might be wrong. Let's just try world map. Hey! There's that open road map that's huge. We'll take a look at that one in a second. I was just looking for a very specific map, and I'm bummed I can't find it. It's possible the creator marked it as private, too. Currently, Law of the Jungle, you can't. About the only thing you could do is say, export an image of your map and use it as a tracing layer in another map. Though things like what we would call variant creation, i.e. grouping of objects together and saving that grouping as like a blueprint or a stamp that you could then take from area to area in the map, or take from map to map, or even possibly share on the workshop as a prefab for people to use. You know what I mean? Sloth, honestly, I mean, at some point, Dungeon Alchemist will likely add some sort of VTT, but I wouldn't see it as part of Dungeon Alchemist. I think it would be a standalone application. So it would just be more software as part of our, our ever-growing library of solutions for tabletop gaming. So you would have Dungeon Alchemist as your absolute top-to-bottom map maker. And then, we'll keep expanding upon that, adding new aesthetics like, say, sci-fi or cyberpunk, or adding options like regional map building that's more intuitive instead of, by hand like this. Maybe even release something like a World Alchemist in tandem with Dungeon Alchemist. Now, that said, the devs have said after we leave early access, they would like to address things like a virtual tabletop. What that would entail, I don't know. But what I have heard is they'd like to make their own that would supplement Dungeon Alchemist and complement it better than any virtual tabletop on the market. Which I don't know, what that means, but to me it kind of implies that it could get the best advantage and take the best advantage of the 3D maps you can create. You can actually do Western maps quite easy. In Dungeon Alchemist as is, to be honest with you, John. We have a kind of a good amount of assets and aesthetics in our room types that lean towards Western quite well. You just published a new map. Let's look up some maps on the workshop. Let's see what everyone's releasing. Honestly, I pulled up a couple before the stream, but I would love to see all the new stuff people are publishing. By the way, is the mic coming in through clear today? Is this you, Andrew? It looks like you because the name lines up. I also want to check out that bad boy. That one looks cool. Thing okay? Okay. Yeah. So a package got delivered, and I wasn't expecting it for like days. Really good job here. I like how you kind of remove some things and use balconies and other things to make it some of the scrap wood down below, the fire effects. Fantastic. Very cool. Oh man, that looks so good. I love just seeing a good burnt house. Law of the Jungle in Vegas, this would be going for 3,000 a month. No utilities. This is about the average temperature of the outside and inside of your home in Las Vegas right now. Right, Dresden. That's exactly my situation. No, I'm just kidding. That's if I considered my family roommates. Hey, by the way, it was Wano Nino. Thank you for the follow a few minutes ago. Much appreciated. Welcome, welcome. This is really cool. Backdraft intensifies. Very good use of all the burned assets. How did you get the roof to do this? Because I thought the burnt roof was like solid. Man, I am so curious what you did. Like, I love that this is all that's left of the roof, and I'm like curious how you did it. It seems bugged and was put to very good use, actually. Like, I'm very impressed by it because it looks how I would like a burnt roof to look, like broken, falling apart, patchy, you know? This is very cool. So I'm assuming the roof was bugged and you're like, hey, I got lemons. Let's make some lemonade. Whoa. Let me get this downloading. I might have assets. Very cool use of like the flame effects, the burnt house. Honestly, probably one of the best burnt house examples I've seen. Burnt roof flavored lemonade. When life gives you burnt lemons. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Look at this like defensive wall around the side. John, if you make a rounded building, it'll have a domed roof. Which Dungeon Alchemists can make rounded and angled buildings. You just take the structure and pull in the sides, these dots on the corner. Here. Need to lower this down. Down there, because this is also ground. Well, I'll just overwrite it. So if you wanted to make like a round room, you do something like that. Right? It has to be an equally divisible room. So it has to be, if you divide it by 2, it's an equal amount. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 8. So essentially, it can't be a 5 by 5 or a 3 by 3. It needs to be 4 by 4, 6 by 6, 8 by 8. Anyway, then you generate a round room. When you have a round room, if it has a roof, it automatically has a domed kind of lid to it. That being said, there are some roofs that are stock. A bunch of different like bronze, interesting ones if you want to make something custom instead. Some different domes and stuff that's a little bit more intricate. So if you're not happy with the stock roof or any of the roofing options, you could always go to an object roof. This is the old school way. But I don't mind it. Kind of fun. Hmm. So it had like a hole in it, like a break. What do you mean, Law of the Jungle? Like if you're drawing a structure, if you want to add more to it, you can always draw more on the edge there, yeah. Or if you want to remove some, you hold control. For sure. If you want to attach a wing to a building, what I like to do... Ooh, interesting. So you'd go to the highest point of the ceiling, right? And then you would just add like a little room on the side here. Or you could do these little guys there on these corners of buildings. These add little pop-ups. I don't know what room type they were using, so I'm just adding whatever here. But you get the idea. They put little like posts on the edges. Yep. One of our, hey Lauren Zader, how you doing? One of our devs, Wim, he really likes putting these little pop-up like crenulation towers on buildings. He really enjoys doing them. But yeah, you can do a little area, and it just is like could be just purely aesthetic, or it could be a tower with like a, you know, a hatch and a walkway up to the top if you wanted to. Or at least to the room up at the top. I think this map is pretty cool. Uh-oh. Another broken roof there. Something's up. Oh. Whoa. Oh. Weird. There is not, Lauren Zader. There's no 3D export, no. Dungeon Alchemist maps are intended to be exported in a top-down view. You can export it in a flattened top-down, right? You can export it in a kind of 3D perspective, two different 3D perspective top-downs. Or you can go in with like our various camera tools, like the cinematic camera, and then do like a little fly in and get screenshots or video at various angles. You also can use our token cameras, the first person camera. You can place a token in the map and kind of walk around, explore it, stream that to your players, record it for video handouts or take screenshots from their perspective. Dresden, yes, our maps export and are totally compatible with Roll20. In fact, we have an export option in our export menu just for Roll20. Though, in order to get the full benefit of our maps, i.e., it shows like where the doors and windows and walls and all the lighting and stuff is, you would need to be at least a Roll20, I believe, Pro member, or it's like their kind of basic paid tier, because they don't allow you to access script tools like their mods unless you're a Pro member. But our basic images of our maps also work just fine, but you would have to add like all the walls, windows, doors yourself. So one of the main benefits of Dungeon Alchemist maps is they include all that data for most virtual tabletops. So i.e. your Foundry, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, above VTT. It includes not only the image, but the data files for it. So Nerdvana, that's a really good question. Hold on one moment and we'll address that momentarily after I answer Lauren Zader's first. So Lauren Zader, I don't think we'll ever offer true 3D export for several reasons. Dungeon Alchemist, for the most part, wasn't designed with that in mind. And because of this, pretty much from the ground up, it would have to be gutted and foundationally changed. Fundamentally changed, I should say, to accommodate to a 3D export. The majority of the assets in Dungeon Alchemist, while this looks like it's wood grain, that's actually a flat object, like a rectangle with really detailed texture mapping. So it wouldn't export directly for 3D print with textures and the information regarded on it. So essentially, our Dungeon Alchemist is what amounts to a lot of smoke and mirrors. There is very simple objects with very detailed wallpapers on top of them to make them look beautiful and 3D and intricate. But that's part of the reason the maps are so small, and Dungeon Alchemist as a whole is only about 10 gigabytes for the entire program. It is kind of like an illusion, but the downside of it is it's great. I mean, it's great for it's optimized for map building and exporting for print or for virtual tabletops. But when you go to export it for 3D or for game design, or you know what I mean, it's really just nothing. It's a bunch of gray blobs, simple shapes, no textures, no water, no lighting, and as a result of which, I mean, I do a lot of 3D printing myself, Lauren Zader. I love 3D printing. I have 3 3D printers behind me, 2 FDM and 1 resin printer. I enjoy it, but it would be, first off, a nightmare to print a Dungeon Alchemist map if it did have all these details. Could you imagine removing like supports and stuff in between all these little details and things? It's just really not, none of the objects are designed for simplistic printing. I mean, I would more see it licensed for, say, video game design more before I could see it designed or like options for 3D exporting. I mean, sorry, I had a little tongue twister there. I don't say that to be rude or anything. It's just wasn't really an intention when it was developed. So we'd have to make so many changes, which kind of goes against what we need to do for our Kickstarter, which has a lot of plans and roadmap already in front of us we need to follow. I do understand the reason you want it, though. It would be cool. It would be cool. It would be very cool to be able to export a map, even small, simple maps, as a 3D print. So, Norm, I mean, it's quite possible to build dungeons now, but I'm assuming you mean the instant dungeon generator, where it's like a one-click thing, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because I could give you examples of hundreds of dungeons, thousands of dungeons on the Steam Workshop. Plenty of people have made dungeons. It's quite possible to do so now with the object set, walls, and things. You can build underground as well now. You can have multiple levels where there's above and below ground in the single map. So I mean, here we have some cells right here. We're looking at basically a very primitive dungeon under here. That being said, if you're looking for a one-click dungeon, that is part of our roadmap. Dungeon Alchemist, as many of you know, was conceived as a Kickstarter project, which had many different stretch goals, i.e., little goals that if they were hit, different funding goals, then that would be another add-on to Dungeon Alchemist as an update. So our most recent update that just released on the 10th, Fun with Objects Part 1, was actually a stretch goal from that Kickstarter campaign. The remaining major updates, there's several of them, Tricks and Traps, Water World, High Seas, and Instant Dungeons. I wouldn't put those in any particular order, and we also have Part 2 of Fun with Objects still to release. But that Instant Dungeon would be like a one-click, and then it makes a whole thing. We wanted to make sure we had roofing and multi-level mastered, rooms of any shape and size mastered before we offered a one-click dungeon. Also, ideally, it'd probably be one of our final updates, like a capstone, because then we'd have the most assets, room types, the most developed AI, multi-level room shapes of all types that would supplement that. So Norm, I hope that answers your question to a degree, but dungeons definitely possible in Dungeon Alchemist. What you're going to want to do if you want to build a dungeon is one of two things. I would typically either use the dark parchment biome, because typically dungeons, you're inside, there's really no windows to the exterior. You're in an underground or interior space. Dark parchment is meant to highlight the interiors of buildings where there's really no exterior, so it's a great biome for that. The cave biome is also a great biome for that. You could go with solid rock and just carve into it however you want with either the cave carving tools for a traditional cave dungeon, or you can use the room tools to carve out rooms inside of the rock. Either way. So ideally, what you would do is go into, say, the biome of your choice, generate the map as digital, that way you can endlessly expand the map, right? The downside of dark parchment, though, is it only goes vertical upwards. You can't build below that dark parchment layer. So if you want underground type aesthetics, you have to consider that the bottom level actually isn't technically the first floor. It might be an underground floor later, and you build up upon it to where the first floor may be. Does that make sense? So this number is more representative of where you're at, not what the actual floor is in your build. That being said, if you're in a terrain-based biome like caves, you can build above and below ground and do several things in different directions using the terrain that's available. What I would do is go into either crypts or castles. These room types tend to lend themselves to dungeons. So you can just grab, say, a hallway or the dungeon type and then just start generating. I like to do like hallways and maybe add like little turns like this. Split off going this way. Anyway, I could generate this whole thing after I've drawn it all out, and that would be the entire dungeon is just a bunch of hallways, and then I could offshoot different parts or change different parts. Hey, so Nerdvana, Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making tool. It's not a virtual tabletop, so it's not really meant to facilitate gameplay. So you can make your maps in Dungeon Alchemist, and then you export them for your virtual tabletop of choice where you run gameplay. If you're playing in person on a TV tabletop, it can work for maps, but you can't have two instances open on a second screen where you're making changes. So no. You ideally would make the map in Dungeon Alchemist and then later present it on the table on the side, and then your DM screen would have like all your, your notes and other information. It looks like I just generated this. 0 walls. Am I crazy? There we go. Honestly, okay, so FDM is great for prototyping. It's great for like little things you need around your house to hang things and little tools and stuff. I would never use resin for those kind of things because resin isn't as resilient. And it's like also harder to print in resin and more expensive. So if it breaks and it wastes your time, it's a pain in the butt. So resin is ideal for tokens and little miniatures and stuff like that because there's so much detail to them. The big thing is resin is kind of dangerous. It's not safe if you use the incorrect resins. And well, most resins are toxic. You need to wear proper gloves, have proper, ventilation in the room, or have a filtration system, or have it set somewhere where there is like a garage somewhere you can open it up or run it when you're not around. Or wear like a respirator when you're running it and are near it and dealing with it. Because yeah, that resin, if it gets on your fingers and in your skin, it can get into your bloodstream and it can cause you to get really sick. It can essentially, yeah, it's bad. Anyway, long story short, resin sickness is a thing. I've had friends get it in the 3D printing community because they didn't take it seriously. So do take it seriously. There are machines that can help you clean resin, help you cure resin. That's part of the process with printing in resin is no matter what, even after it's done printing, there's usually some resin residual inside of it that needs more curing, or the print itself still needs to be run in like a UV light system to cure for a little bit longer. FDM, if you're printing terrain or buildings, I would probably go FDM because it'll be much faster and more cost effective. If you are doing like tokens and miniatures and like, I guess, little detailed props and stuff like that, I would probably go resin. Kim, in your mind, how would you integrate a map of this to a table game of D&D? So how I would do it, Kim, let me just open a map to kind of paint a picture for you. One of my maps. Oh yeah, do not pour resin down the sink. There's proper, like, you actually are supposed to take all your old resin and get it recycled somewhere. Like, you can take it to the dump and they can process it too. Some of them can. Anyway, resin is like, ugh. Anyway, it's a lot more work. You have this thing, the resin vat, okay? It's like a metal or like aluminum vat, and then that's where the resin sits. And then at the bottom of a vat is a very thin, clear plastic screen called a FEP. Okay, that FEP screen is so fragile and it can get scratched and torn and it wears out the more you print. So it has to be replaced regularly and they're no fun to replace. And if you're new to printing, you make a lot of mistakes and ruin those FEPs. They're like $15, $20 a piece. So it gets really cost prohibitive there. Takes time to take off the 30, 40 screws to remove the old FEP, put in the new one, tension it properly. It takes time. It's not very fun. Secondly, resin, it's like $30 a bottle and you usually only get a handful of prints. And a lot of it is wasted because it's inside of it. So usually you can do things like put a little hole in it so it drains out. You can put a little hole in your prints in the the resin slicing software, and it allows it to drain while it's printing, to drain out some of that, or you can print them hollow so they don't use up a solid amount of mass. Anyway, Kim, let me show you this map. This here is a map I made some time ago, and it is essentially a mine, a dwarven prospector's mine. But Dungeon Alchemist has a few tools in it that I've recommended and the devs have added to help supplement both content creators and those who want to play at home. So one, obviously you have the grid tools. This was part of Dungeon Alchemist from the start. You can enable your grid, you can set it to a square, you could set it to a hex, you can change the transparency, you can change the color of the grid to be more matching to your environment. You can render the grid on top of everything, or it'll render just on the ground and under most objects. You have a lot of control over the grid. That's one thing. Secondly, in your view tools, you can disable the user interface, hiding it, right? When you hide the user interface, now this is perfect for TV tabletops. Essentially, you can cast this to a TV tabletop as a live view for your players, and then move this around with your mouse or keyboard controls when they are actually moving around the map. So you could have your players enter in the mine over here in the corner, right? Have a zoomed in kind of perspective, and their tokens can be on top of the screen, and now you have a grid representative of their movement and everything ready to go. So essentially you could use this as a live tabletop space, with animated water, lights, fire, etc. It's very fun that way. So, Kim, honestly, as is, it is a very cool supplemental tool to just play in. You can also add in tokens. So let's say you want some tokens in the environment, you can do that. Or you can put tokens on top of the screen. So if you're inside of Dungeon Alchemist, while you're playing, you can actually make live changes if you're doing the TV tabletop thing, or move the map around as your players kind of move and get to a new area. Oh, let's reveal their vision into here. You know, they can decide where to go. Does that make sense? So it does have some supplemental features that tend to aid in TV tabletop play. And it's nice because you can make changes to the environment, move things around because it's the map maker tool and you're live in it at that time. So let's say your players want to take this drill and drive it on the tracks and through the entire mine, which, you know, is something I intended my players to do when I built this map. So now you can move it around for them when they get to new places. Anyway. So grid tools, hiding the user interface, camera tools, token tools, ability to edit the map in real time while your players are exploring it. Alternatively, you could just have the regular map on the TV and have a secondary screen, you know, of, say, that's a vertical screen where you walk around and say first person and follow along what the players are doing in their top-down play. So a traditional top-down map that's just a map. So you could stream this view to them and be like, this is what it looks like through your eyes from the top-down perspective you're in right now. There's a lot of ways to integrate our maps and the tools, the immersion utilities into TV tabletop play. Kim, I hope that helps you out in any way. Stand by, just checking something. Yeah, a package I was waiting for to be delivered in a few days showed up today, like way sooner than I anticipated, so I kind of want to go grab it off the porch and throw it in the garage. Would y'all be okay for a couple minutes if I stepped away and did that? Go for it. Connect 4. I'll be right back then. So there is just so many porch pirates in our community, right? Well, I don't know if it's in our community or they just follow around the drivers or drive through our neighborhood once a day and just rob stuff. But I've had like a graphics card stolen off my porch. I've had, you know, silly things like cutting boards and, you know, tools, equipment. I've had a lot of items that go missing. One time I ordered a big thing of, I like these, like, they're like a sour Twizzlers. They're like have a filled kind of like a, I don't know, they're not a regular Twizzler, but they have like a pineapple flavor and another. Anyway, I ordered a big box of them one year and then it got delivered to my house and then stolen off my porch. Just silly stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to run a commercial and then go pick that stuff off the porch and throw it in the garage.
You stand before the long dark
Stand by.
road to the fabled realm of Doyak-Ta, and before
What do we see?
I just set the commercial to loop, so it's going to loop for a moment. Sorry about that. I'll be right back.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, fine family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Yeah, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of
Goyak Tar, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Tar, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, giving up my firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Well, I won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of
Goyak Tar, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
you stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Tar, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, giving up my firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, I won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak Tar, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
you stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Tar, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, giving up my firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, I won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak Tar, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet.
I'm back. We were just taking a quick break, Rick. I had to step away to grab a package off the porch. Porch pirates are rampant in my neighborhood, so. Just AFK for a quick moment. Commercial break, so to speak. Sadly, the commercial's only like 30 seconds, so it looped a couple of times. It also is the community's favorite commercial, so we tend to run it whenever we can. No worries, no worries. Yeah, you just kind of tuned in at a weird moment. You're like, what the hell? Is this stream just a commercial? Just like those ads. What are those old TV channels that they would just play a commercial all day? Infomercials, right? Man, it's been so long since I've just watched regular TV, I've forgotten what they were called. How you doing, Volkahar? Welcome back. Nice, Volkahar. How'd it go? That is a beautiful balcony. Wow. Look at that. Love it. Love it. And then there's like a little entry point there. First time in 8 years, so a little rusty. Oh man. You probably were great. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, TikTok. We're almost up to 5,000 likes. Y'all are insane. Right? Wouldn't it be nice? So during the stream today, I wanted to discuss, balconies a little bit and how you can use them in Dungeon Alchemist to your advantage now. One moment though, there's some chat coming through. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh my gosh, Blue Mage, I swear, you get up in your head sometimes. You're like your own worst enemy. You do such good work. Just let the maps flow, my friend. I just love how everyone's really jumping into multi-level and making it their own, you know? Alley back here, that's so nice, Volkahar. Did your players enjoy it? That's the really important part, right? Did they enjoy it? Swedish Cook, you did a good... Yeah, I saw the sewer entrance here, over there. When I was passing by, I just kind of wanted to enjoy the top here, the top area before I went down. Beautiful though, my friend. You did great work. An aboleth in the first session. Geez, what level are they? Uh-oh. EA just kind of froze for me. It is Swedish Cook's map. Stand by, though. Something just happened. Down to 1 frame per second for some reason. There we go. Very cool. We got the sewers. I love how you've just been incorporating your own custom assets. And is this where you were using a lot of pipes, where you're having issues? Oh, got you. So you're temporary DMing the group that has been playing a while. It's not a new group. Okay, I was like, man, you are brutal throwing an aboleth at them already. They're level 9. Okay, that makes sense. This is very cool. I like the central area here. Was this intended to lead somewhere? You're right, Mondu. They're level 9. Right? Not too many sewers are designed with a sewer hub, and this looks great. Like a junction area where everything meets in the middle. Cool. How so? What do you mean by that, Swedish cook? If you delete segments, it's buggy. How so? Please explain. Go tour some of these buildings, shall we? Ooh, very nice symmetry there. Do you have do you have collisions enabled when you're doing that stuff? Because I know when collisions are enabled, the pipes are a bit snappier and they tend to snap together better, which makes them easier to work with. Additionally, if you're using the connection points at the end of the pipes, usually a little easier to add anything to it. Okay. Wanted to make sure. Ah, crapped. This is very cool, Swedish cook. I love the detail. I was gonna say, where's the kitchen? But I found it. Did great work, my friend. Great work. Love the balcony. Of course, we got some loos over here. Oh, some rooms too, it looks like. Very cool. Didn't anticipate rooms. Uh-oh. Missing something there. Easy fix. You can even put a little banister on this side as a half. No worries. Another little bathroom. Very cool. This balcony is amazing. Really love it. Did a great job on this map, my friend. I just love seeing everyone's like passion for this new update coming through. You know what I mean? Very cool. Honestly, what's most impressive is the buildings are like really kind of basic shapes on the exterior, aside from these little cuts in them. But you got so intricate and detailed inside with all the room shaping. Like it's a completely different world on the inside than the outside. And then you did a really good job of using all the block space. You know, there's alleys, buildings really close to each other. I appreciate the design. I like out here, it's like, you know, simple shape, go inside. What? This is awesome looking, you know? What we got there? Nothing to see here, right? How do I go? Oh. So the secret stair shows through here. I'm confused. But either way, still a secret stair down. Another access point. Anani, practice makes perfect, my friend. Swedish Cook has been, making maps for several years now in the Dungeon Alchemist community. Not only that, he complements his work with custom assets like these stairs are his. So it really, goes a long way when you have a good amount of practice and then can back it up with some extra skills. If you put a wall here, something to block that, that'd be ideal. Just like a freestanding or something like a corner piece. Random ladybird. Dang, that's so cool. I can't wait to see it. Honestly, Swedish Cook makes some really cool assets that are like really well optimized. I really appreciate his work. I remember when I was building my wizard tower before multi-level was available and you helped me with all the the floor pieces and the stairs for that. That was a nice little collaboration. Honestly, kudos to all the asset creators in our community who share their spare time and art with the community by creating custom assets and uploading them to the workshop for everyone to enjoy. Those of you know who you are, but, quick little shout out to obviously Swedish Cook, Asmodeus, Sack, Centimar, Devarian. I mean, there's so many to name, so many amazingly talented creators in our community who not only make maps, but share 3D models for the community to benefit from. Whoa, nice little warehouse. That is cool. Love it. The crane up top. The crane's in the ceiling, though, at the moment. If you look at that, might need to be shrunk down a little. This is so cool, though. So cool. So cool. Is there a stair up to that upper level or a ladder? How does one get up there? Platforming. They just ride up the crane, Honestly, I'm in a few weeks, our AI will be getting an update and room generation will include assets that make more sense. Currently, the AI configs are defaulted to an older version of DA, right? So essentially, your maps are 2.0 DA with 1.0 AI. And the devs said that they're going to be tweaking and fine-tuning the AI around multi-level. I don't know if that'll include stair placement as well. I would just love to see if it automatically puts stairs in buildings. But then it would be making a lot of assumptions on the fact that you're going to be doing multi-level, right? Maybe we have a stair switch, under AI here, that you could have stairs on so it'll generate with a stair. Hey, Lorenzo, thank you. Thank you so much for the rose. Whoa, that's a bakery. Like a little study overlooking. It's like, hey, people are in. Let me step down from doing paperwork. Go sell some baked buns. Whoa. For now, room generation is going to be tied to each floor. So you can generate as many floors as you want on that, or as many rooms as you want on that level. And then if you need to go up above that, yeah. Who knows, though? Maybe in the future, room generation may include multiple levels. Or maybe the dungeon, instant dungeons might. Who knows? The future could be quite interesting. I like that these are like the slums. Did a good job, my friend. Really good job. Wonderful map. Quick reminder to anyone, if you have been noticing that Dungeon Alchemist is running a little sluggish for you after this update, I noticed something yesterday, and I've alerted the devs of this, and they will be researching it and hopefully fixing it soon, but they are on vacation at the moment, which is well-deserved. They pushed out this update and then pushed out patches and hotfixes for a week and a half, and then took a vacation. So when they get back, they'll be hopefully fixing this. But I noticed when you load into a map the first time, any map, doesn't matter, the map seems to default your graphics to a much higher setting than they may be. So let's say you normally run on low or medium, it actually seems to default to like high or even ultra above high. Now, I noticed this because I noticed my frame count would dip when I load a map, but then I do something very innocuous and then it would fix it. So if you find you're loading into DA and it's a little sluggish, right? Like this is now. Getting 2 FPS, that's insane. My computer is much more powerful than that. What you can do is you go into File, go to Settings, right? The second you go into Settings, it immediately is fine. You don't even have to save anything, you just exit. My frame rate just jumped up to 60. I don't know why this is happening. It's definitely a bug, but it's a simple fix. Just go into Settings, and then you're good to go. It's back to normal. So it is weird, and I definitely hope they can source out what the problem is and fix it. So if you're noticing quirkiness or less than optimal performance, make sure you just, as soon as you load a map, you go into the settings and then exit right back out. But I discovered this bug yesterday, and I'd been feeling like I'd been having this issue with maps constantly, and then it would go away, and I didn't know why. So I often go into the settings menu and look at grid and other things, and then it would just optimize the map all of a sudden by doing that. Really weird. Anyway, bugs are to be expected after major updates, because especially one like this, there are so many major changes. By floor, do you mean the terrain or the floor? Like actual floor? Interesting. Nani, what are your specs like on your computer? I'm just curious. By the way, quick little heads up, shameless promotion. Dungeon Alchemist is on sale right now. It is 20% off. We were invited to participate in what's called the Steam Daily Deal. So they just had the summer sale, and then followed by that was the daily deal. So we're participating in that right now. Until July 24th, Dungeon Alchemist will be on sale. So if you're looking to, if you're kind of checking us out and you're looking at it and you're like, man, this is pretty neat, now would be an ideal time to snag it up because it's the best possible price. Or if you already own a copy, maybe you're considering gifting one to a friend, family member, that DM or GM you love. Remember, now is that ideal price to gift a copy too. And then remember, just pass the word on of the sale. If you have any friends, family, DMs, GMs, you play in any groups or clubs, anything like that. If you spread the word, it really means a lot to us because as a small indie company, we don't really have a massive budget when it comes to advertising. Essentially, word of mouth is how people hear about us. So thank you so much if you could do us the favor of sharing the sale with your friends. Nice, Asmodeus. Let's take a look at it. Actually, before we do, I want to open a map I found on the workshop earlier. Some of you may recognize this. It's really cool. So, is it a map you uploaded or is it an asset you uploaded, Asmodeus? Map? Okay, cool. We'll check it out in a second. I love my mom, like, a lot. You know, everybody loves their parents for the most part. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with her, too. We kind of don't get along on everything, especially now that we're adults. But that being said, my mom, she tries to show an interest in my life on occasion. And other times, she is just, like, does her best, but she doesn't really get, like technology, or she doesn't really get tabletop gaming. So I explained to her when we were visiting a couple years ago after I got this job that, you know, what I do and that I work for Dungeon Alchemist and that it's a company that makes maps for games like Dungeons and Dragons. And I think that's the only part she retained. So for like the last couple of years, she's been telling all her friends at work, my family, anyone who she talks to about my job when they chat that I work for Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, I was just like, Mom, no, that's not what I said. I love you so very, very much, but I work for a company who makes software that makes maps for games like Dungeons and Dragons. It's totally different than working for Dungeons and Dragons, but to her, it's like the same. This is coming from a woman who calls all consoles Nintendos. So, like, any computer or a console is just a Nintendo's. So, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was quite adorable, to say the least. But she's just telling everyone she can talk to that I worked for, you know, Hasbro and D&D. And I don't know if y'all recognize this at a glance, but this is a very iconic scene from Baldur's Gate 3. The Adamantine Forge. I think they did a really good job recreating this, all things considered. Always bothered me that I had to rely on the Forge to beat him. Right, Barun? Anyway, I just thought this was so cool. Wanted to share it with y'all. Isn't it, Chim? It's quite impressive. Honestly, like, there's a few maps that have been put up that are very Baldur's Gate, like, esque. Someone did the exterior and the interior of the two exterior maps of the Goblins camp from Baldur's Gate 3. Very well done. Although I'm worried how it might look now after the update, as some assets have been depreciated. But overall, man, the thing was awesome. Yeah, someone making the Goblin camp with multi-level would be really cool. Like a redone... Whoa, hold up. I gotta check that out later. Oh, is this... Lalandra, are you watching? Is this an entry for the Dam Challenge, or is this just a regular map? I never know with you. Asmodeus, dude, I'm glad to see your passion for map making has been, I guess, reignited or rekindled with this update. Seems like you've just been pumping out maps since the update. Just a regular map, eh? Enter the damn. Gonna take a moment to load this map, I can guarantee it. Was it decorated inside? Or is it just a big glass, like blank for people to decorate? Nice. Cool. Come on down to the Baldur's Gate Nursery. We've got mandrakes. What other things would they have at the Baldur's Gate Nursery? I love this. Nice little blank setup, man. Massive. Wonder what's going on here in the underside. Hey, Stun. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. I can see the connection there. It's definitely a visual glitch. Interesting. Good use of this piece, by the way. The skylight. By the way, did you know that we have a round skylight roof or whatever that matches these? Like under cupola, I believe. Hold on. Maybe skylight? I know there's a round skylight. I saw it the other day. Where is it? This one. Ha-ha! So we could just, you know, go into the erase roof option here. You get the idea, though. So if you wanted to let more light in on the corners, you could do something like this, or even cover this whole space with this. Stone, depending on the terrain you're in, you're given an assortment of brushes. So if you are in, say, the forest or grasslands terrain, you have different brushes. So this is the grasslands terrain. It has an assortment of different grass paints. Uh-oh. Let me zoom in. I'm on the 7th floor, so it's hard to tell. Down the 1st floor. You could like paint some stone in if you want, or different, you know, different textures. Depending on the biome you're in, the allotment of textures available vary. So desert biome has different paints than, say, the forest biome or the Feywild biome. Additionally, you also have light filters for your maps, so you can go into the light panel, and if you go to the advanced menu, you could just shift the tone of a map drastically with light filters, which often can lend it to feel more like an alien environment or somewhere, you know, magical or distant. Ralph Brook, I'm not sure what you mean. Our tool makes maps and buildings. It makes both, actually. You wanted to make yellow grass. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm thinking something in post is probably your best bet. Going a solid like green color for the terrain and then shifting it to like a tan. You know what I mean? I don't think we actually have a tan grass color. That's a good suggestion though for our upvoty. Like a dead grass or a dry grass or, you know, like a... just something like that, you know, just like weeds. But yeah, you could potentially do something akin to... Here, let me show you. Let me change the light back to just normal. Inside of buildings, and the thing about a building is it doesn't have to be inside, right? A building can be an exterior space. You just get rid of the walls, and now it's just floors, right? Oops. So let's say I wanted to try and go for a different color than what's available. So now this is just a wood floor, but I could go into the flooring options, and then there's some natural ones. There's some stone, but there's also foliage, right? And in these, there's some stamped earth. There is some hay, a few different terrain textures that might lend more differently to, say, an environment exterior like that. And this map is just so big, I'm having trouble with it at the moment. Hey, Bane, how you doing, buddy? What is going on here? Like not recognizing me scrolling through this at all. There we go. But there's some that are like stamped earth and stuff. There's different grasses, but none of them are like a tan, dry grass. So I get what you're coming from. Uh, 4070, i7, 127. Do you know if your i7 was part of the ones that had the failure where it slowly decays the processor's capability? I know that a bunch of the 12,000 series had that issue. Swedish Cook knows, having me go through his map, that's how you get it like audited. It's like I went through and just found anything that seemed out of place because my first person audit. What resolution do you run DA at, by the way, my friend? But yeah, if you can FPS lock to 60 FPS or lower, you'll increase your performance drastically. Another thing too is use that trick I just showed where you just go to the settings menu and back out. There's a weird bug that DA defaults to a higher graphics than you have it set to. So this map here, Ralph, is like a nice little cityscape with like buildings and city center, etc. Cemetery, bar, tavern, inn, homes, slums, shops. (1920 by 1200 res. Interesting. So Ralph, we just launched an update that allows you to do multi-level and roofing. So the maps on our community shares maps on Steam Workshop. There's a repository of over 12,000 maps that are free for anyone who owns a copy of Dungeon Alchemist. But now they're starting to get like insanely detailed with all of this multi-level stuff. There's castles and cities coming out that are like looking really cool. Guild houses, farmhouses. Here's like a little small town temple. I mean, it's just insane some of the cool detailed maps we're getting with multi-level structures in them now. Before, it was kind of a niche thing to add multi-level in your maps. You had to do it by hand. It took a lot of work and only a handful of people really did it. Now everyone can do it in a few clicks. Swedish, does your ultra wide split into 2 displays? Mine does. So I have an ultra wide and there's a setting in it that you can configure it to be 2 displays instead of 1, right? Even you, Bane. Even you. We actually made it specifically catered to you because we wanted you to be able to make multi-level. Honestly, no, I think the people who did multi-level in the past were mostly people who just had the patience. You know what I mean? A lot of people buy Dungeon Alchemist to be quick maps, easy quick maps, not to spend hours and hours building maps. I think the people who end up doing that are the people who, you know, just develop a hobby out of it, you know, just building maps and spending time building excessively intricate maps. I love detailed maps that I build by hand. I use the AI to generate a room and then I fill it by hand. OCD is part of the reason in my case. Yes, Bane. I definitely like specific details and I think out every aspect of my build. Like, how would players interact with this? What is in this room? What kind of things should there be? You know?
But yes, Bane, this update was made just for you. It was molded for you.
Honestly, Blue Mage, my process for builds is just kind of go as I do it. I'll start a shape and start filling it out. If I get bored or lose inspiration in that room or that area, I move to another. My building process isn't very linear. And if I am looking for inspiration, you know, Blue Mage, I'll hop online and find images of places or decor of like a cool study from a castle or a mansion just to get some inspiration. Not necessarily to copy, but to kind of be like, oh, this is what it looks like, you know? What was excellent? What did I do? I don't even know what I did that was so good. Shoot, I just did it so passively. I'm that amazing. I'm not even joking you. I don't even know what I did. Oh, the Bane impersonation? Oh, okay, my bad. Gotcha. Honestly, if... I do have some impressions that are pretty good. If I practiced them and did them enough, they'd probably be a regular thing on the stream. My ADHD makes sense. Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm sure it does make sense once I say it out loud to everyone, right? I definitely spend a lot of time on minute detail, intricate details. And, but then at the same time, get way bored when I'm doing the details and have to move on. So I do it in a big circle and roundabout kind of fall my way back into the target and finish it.
You say this build was your ally. Merely adopted the build. I was born in it, molded by it.
I do that with my dog. I'll hit my hands on his face like this. My dog, Seymour, that was here earlier on the stream. And then I'll be like, my wife hates this, but I think it's hilarious. And I'll say, you think the bark is your ally? You merely adopted the bark. It's just a dad joke at like cranked up to 11.
I was born in it. You merely adopted the bark. I was born in it, molded by it.
See, that's the cool thing about the new update, Blue Mage. Nothing has to be overly complex anymore to look beautiful. Does that make sense? Like, because Dungeon Alchemist lends to this intricate, detailed structure now that is something that used to be like such a hard thing to grasp and do, we end up getting these like amazing structures. But one thing I will point out, notice here how they put like little extra roof pieces on the corners and stuff. That's where it starts looking extra detailed and cool instead of it being like the same shape all the way up. You know what I mean? So they had a square, but then they went into like a hexagon or whatever this, you know, octagon, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. One thing also I've noticed is a lot of people are starting to do these little split builds where it's like just half of the building. So you know it's there, but it's not really something they planned on having their players enter. But it looks like a good, like a scene, you know, like a Hollywood set. Blue Mage, I have seen you build some amazing maps. All I gotta say is you gotta stop getting in your head so much. You're like your own worst enemy at the moment. You make amazing maps. Those legacy maps you've made and submitted to the Damn Challenge, top-notch builds. I think, you know, multi-level is a whole new challenge. It's a new ball game, right, to get used to. But don't get in your head over it. I think with a little practice, playing around with shaping, getting used to adding, you know, different levels, you'll get used to it. The big key thing is, remember, the room you shape will dictate the shape of the roof above, right? It's an octagon. It's an octagon. So I took a crack at Helm's Deep and I couldn't get it anywhere I was happy with, so I gave up on it. I have this thing with map making. If I can't get the map where I was liking it, I kind of shelf it, put a pin in it, or I give up on it. So now Helm's Deep would probably be really easy to build. Honestly, you'd probably run into the ceiling of the terrain before you ran into the ceiling of buildings now. The shape of the building dictates how the roof comes out. And then there's also different roof types. So the shape of the roof on top can also determine. So this one's more dome-like. This one's more pointed. You know what I mean? So less, you know, it's more of a gabled type structure. But like these ones here are definitely more of a traditional, like a gabled roof, right? If you're wanting a cross-section roof, it would have to be like this, where if this had been square on this side, it wouldn't be round on the outside edge. The room below dictates the roof shaping. So if these were all square, it would be just square cuts in all directions. Does that make sense? I have remade it when shoot, everything was lava launched. So I've remade it twice now. I don't know if I'd like to remake it with multi-level, like the true multi-level that we have now, mainly because I don't have any rooms in it. It's all natural. It's all terrain, you know? So terrain had the ability to do multi-level for the longest time because you could shape the terrain. The drainage on roofs is something that they're going to work on. Don't let it bother you too much for right now. Remember, you're in a fantasy world. Things don't have to make perfect sense like they do in the real world, right? So if the algorithm that dictates the roof shaping needs refinement, so there are some instances, like for here, for instance, where it would make no sense because water would build up and flood the top of the roof, right? And cave it in. You would have this meet right here. So it's perfectly, you know, it would drain down the sides and then run off. That's essentially, or it would have kind of like a fascia or a gutter along it to drain off. We got to remember this is a tool to build maps. It's not necessarily an accurate representation of real world buildings and I actually spent a couple summers roofing. So it does bother me a lot that it doesn't have proper drainage, but I always remember that we are in early access, and this is the first iteration of roofing that has been launched for Dungeon Alchemist. It's bound to get better and optimized, and the devs have already committed to offering more roof shaping and better algorithmic presence where it will meet up at different surfaces. Honestly, seeing y'all say that about the stream and how it's helped you, I appreciate that a lot. It's hard to gauge, as the community manager, how much I've helped our community in growth. I can see numbers, but how much I've helped people grow as map makers and creators. I mean, I can kind of see where you were, where you started, and where you are now. But I love hearing feedback like that, hey, I didn't know what I was doing. I jumped into streams. I enjoy the streams because I learn a lot. I personally enjoy the streams because I enjoy interacting with our community and getting to know you as, dungeon masters, as map makers, as people. I've made a lot of friends in this community over the last few years. Hey, see you later, Rick. I will do. By the way, anytime you want to share that sentiment with them, you're welcome to by commenting on our social media or any of our YouTube videos or anything like that, because they often get that information sent to them directly or get to see it themselves when they look over it throughout the day. But yeah, I mean, feedback helps development, but also helps, me as a community manager to be able to assist you better and your needs as community members. Yeah, I get it, David. It is definitely something a roofer or an architect, somebody would notice and hate right away. This is not right. This is not how a roof would meet up and drain. It would actually be more like the spine would be this direction off the roofing, and then it would drain both ways, right? That's what makes sense. And then there would be like a flat facing here that's triangular on the side. Sadly, though, the algorithm, while it's amazing, it needs some fine tuning to know what to do when it meets up against other surfaces like this. So with time, it'll get better. Yeah, Krasny, I think that alone is huge. I mean, look at, say, and I don't like to compare, but it is kind of insane. You've got a company like, EA, who makes Sims, right? Sims has been around since I was like 12, and they still haven't mastered roofing to this level of simplicity and automation. So, their roofs are all objects in Sims. You place them, you merge them, and make overlapped roofing to make a custom roof. And it's nice, but it's also kind of like, man, it's been around 20 plus years now, and they haven't figured it out yet. Carl sat down in, his dev cave for the last 8 months and spun up a custom algorithm using another algorithm that was meant for another purpose, and he repurposed it to be used for roofing. So it's called a straight skeleton algorithm, and apparently only like less than 10 people in the world really know how to use it and program it and understand it, and he's the only person in the world that knows how to make it for roofing. So anyway, it's kind of a cool progression of software development. He even said he plans to put up a Git repository once it's finalized and more fine-tuned, so other developers out there can use it in their own development. It's interesting, to say the least. Yeah, I think going forward, Map Maker Monday maps will be small, but that last map I was intending to challenge myself. You know what I mean? That being said, even if it's been the same map for months, people have learned stuff every week, regardless. You know, people come in and ask questions, and people learn stuff from that, me giving tips and tricks, showcasing other maps, etc. So even if we've only been building one massive map for like 6 months, a little bit each week, people still learn something every week. Yeah, I am very excited for the evolution of roofing, for sure. I just looked over and saw the time. It is time to wrap up the stream, I'm afraid. I had so much fun hanging out with you all today on the damn stream, but unfortunately we need to wrap it up. So I hope you all enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend. Before we wrap up, just a quick bit of information, news, data for you to, download and, take with you for the future. We have another stream upcoming on Monday. Every Monday, we host what's called Map Maker Monday. On Map Maker Monday, I load up this map that I've been building for a little while, and we check it out together and expand the map and work on it together as a stream. So y'all make suggestions and give feedback. And also during the stream, it's hosted AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you are struggling with one of your maps or exports or need guidance, maybe importing an asset to the workshop, anything, tune into the stream and ask me questions, and I will do my best to provide you insight. If you have notes for the devs or feedback, I'll take down your notes and pass it on to them. If you, just want to tune in, hang out with like-minded map makers and just vibe with a group of GMs, it's a place to be. I like to think of our streams as a third space, which there's not many of nowadays. Third space, if you've not heard of it, probably haven't, some of you, is a free space where you can socialize without the expectation of being, expected to pay or, contribute something to that space. So, just being here is all I ask of you. If you are here and eager to learn or eager to hang out with community members, it's a great place to be to learn as a fledgling DM, because you can bounce ideas off of, other GMs and see what they think about it. Great for, coming up with ideas for homebrew, encounters, maps, stat block. Anyway, this map is what we've been working on for some time, and it is rather extensive. I'm not going to lie, this map, I bit off a bit more than I could chew with it. It's probably the biggest map I've ever made, but at the same time, it's been so fun to build this map. By the way, remember, David, our AMAs are directly Dungeon Alchemist related, but my follow-up to that question would be African or European? There's always Monty Python references in this stream. Always. Come along, Mimsy. How can a 5-ounce bird lift a 1-pound coconut? Anyway. That's the place to be. Yeah, we are all nerds, kind of like fantasy, sci-fi nerds. Often we'll get distracted and talk about things like Stargate or, D&D, because that's what we're here to prep for. I appreciate you all being here. Unfortunately, I got to wrap up the stream, but I had a lot of fun. Appreciate you tuning in, whether you were actively participating in chat or you were lurking in the background, silently learning. Mods that were here today, thank you so much for being troopers and supporting the cause today. We'll be back with Mapmaker Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UTC. And then the following stream is on Wednesday. That's Office Hours. Office Hours is actually exclusive to our Discord. So if you're not a member of our Discord, first off, I recommend joining. It's a great place to get support when the streams aren't live. You can spin up a support thread or a question thread 24 hours a day. Myself, moderators, staff, or other community members will usually tune in and guide you and help you, assist you. You can tune into GM chat, bounce ideas off of other GMs, and get advice for your campaigns or homebrew ideas, etc. You can share maps and 3D models that you've, that you're putting together or uploaded to the workshop or plan to upload to the workshop. See what people think about them. Anyway, Discord's a great place to be in it. It's actually the greatest, largest collection of our community members. There's over 34,000 members in our Discord. We're actually very, very chill there, laid back, and we avoid spamming at everyone. We only do one at everyone every 5 to 6 months at most. So definitely will not get a whole lot of spam in our Discord. Anyway, thank you for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making utility available on Steam. We offer a free demo so you can try before you buy, so you can kind of test drive it on your system, make sure it runs well before you actually invest in it. And remember, Dungeon Alchemist is on sale for 20% off through now till July 24th. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that deal, make sure you do, because it is a limited time and it won't last forever. Thank you again for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Back out. Bye. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Gonna hurry and run another quick ad and wrap it up.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.